Tip Singh, professor in Department of Management Studies, Amritsar Group of College, Autonomous Punjab in India. Sir has completed PhD from IK Gujarat Punjab Technical University, Kapurthala, Punjab in India. Now, I am happy to note that SAS has guided 1000 plus projects to students of BTech and MBA also guided, and then MTech and PhD candidate for working and publication of the research papers. Sir has published in World Book of Research 2018 at Oxford, United Kingdom. Sir has published 100 plus research paper articles that have published in conference, preceding and journals of national and internationals. Sir has to guide many students and young teachers and a research scholar for research part. Sir as multi-talent person is working as an associate with Dr. Kalam International Foundation as vice president and head of research. Sir is presently working as advisory board of editor in national and international research journals. A day is not sufficient to read out about Sir's profile. We are delighted to have an eminent guest speaker. The platform is yours, sir. We can start, sir.
Yes, sir. Good evening, ma'am. Thanks for announcing my profile. Once I would like to thank the organizers of this workshop and inviting me on this platform to give my talk on research and publication ethics. So, dear participants, I will give a talk on research and publication ethics. I hope from the previous days you have been talking about research. What is research? So I will give you a little view about what is research. So after doing our postgraduate degree, you can say MTech, MPhil, MA, MSc, we move towards the research. It may be your PhD, it may be your MPhil, or it may be in your master's program as well. In some universities, in MTech as well as in graduation degree, BTech, the universities have announced a research project for their students to increase their creativity. So coming to the point, what is the research? Research is a combination of two words, re and search. To search from the knowledge that we already have. It is defined as the creation of new knowledge or the use of existing knowledge that is already available there in a new and creative way so as to generate new concepts, methodologies, and understandings. This could include synthesis and analysis of previous research to the extent that it leads to new and creative outcomes. So research is creation of new knowledge, or it is working on the existing knowledge by using various methodologies, concepts, tools, and techniques to get the new results and giving a solution to the existing problem in the society. That we call it as a research. So what are ethics? In daily life, in social life, in professional life, everywhere we use ethics. That may be social ethics, it may be your professional ethics, it may be business ethics. Similarly, we will talk about the research ethics also today. What are the ethics that we need to take care while doing our research? It may be our research paper, it may be our research thesis, or anything else regarding research and publication. So ethics are the norms of conduct that distinguish between acceptable and unacceptable behavior. Ethics are the principles and guidelines that help us to uphold things we value. So I hope you all will be clear that what are ethics? Ethics are those norms that tell us what is right and what is wrong, what we should do and what shouldn't be done to make a good research work, good work. That are the ethics. You may also say that principles and guidelines. Some organizations have made principles and guidelines that everybody has to follow while doing that work. It may be your business, it may be your profession, anything. Then coming to the point, research ethics. Research ethics involves the applications of fundamental ethical principles to planning, conducting, and publishing of research. The basics are the same, that ethics tell us what is right and wrong, and when it comes to the research area, the principles that tell us what is right and what is wrong, how should we conduct our research, and what things should not be done during doing the research. That points are called, that principles are called, that fundamental principles are called research ethics. Now, we all are human beings. If somebody suggests us something to do, one point in our mind comes, why should we do this thing? Why should we come to the organization on time? Why should we leave the organization on time? What are the benefits? What are the advantages? We human beings look towards the advantages plus points first, what we will get if we will follow this thing. Similarly, coming to the research ethics, respect and cause no harm to the participants. As a sign of respect for other researchers and cause no harm to the participants, then it is a professional requirement. It is a requirement to obtain funding. Failing to conduct research ethically results in research or researcher being dismissed or rejected by a research community. So it is very clear that we should give respect, and take respect. It is a golden rule, and we should give respect to our fellow researchers, fellow colleagues who are working on that area, on that research. As a sign of research, we should take care of the research ethics. We will talk in the detail what are the research ethics and how can we give a respect to our fellow researcher or a fellow colleague by following the research ethics. Then obtain funding. There are many organizations like UGC, University Grants Commission, AICT, DST, and many more NGOs that are giving funding to the research scholars, to the research persons for doing research, because research is a thing that gives solution to the problem of a society. So many NGOs give funding, but how that funding is given? Firstly, we prepare proposal and we send that proposal to that organization, to that NGO, and a committee or a panel of research experts. He reviews your proposal, whether it is good, whether you have done a good work. You will come to a point that will be give solution. So all these things are meant. So the main thing that is taken care of, that is research ethics, whether you have followed the research ethics while making that research proposal, and what you have written by following which research ethics you will do the research. So that thing matters a lot. And when the reviewer committee or the expert committee is satisfied by your work, research ethics, then the funding is given to you. Otherwise, that expert committee or that panel rejects your proposal and you are not given the funding. So we need to take care of the research ethics while doing the research work. So basic principles of research and publication ethics. What are the basic principles? First is honesty. We all know, we have been studying this thing from our primary standard, that honesty is the best policy. This is the best remedy to avoid all these unethical practices. So honesty, a research scholar should be honest. Then objectives must be there in your research work. Integrity means being honest when nobody is seeing. We all believe that God is there and God is seeing us every time, whether we are doing good things, whether we are doing wrong activities, we are doing ethical activities or unethical activities. So we should believe in God, and that God also always helps when we do something good. And integrity is being honest when nobody is seeing us, only God is seeing us. So be integrated. Carefulness, we should do our research work carefully. There should be no harm to any type of, you can say, natural property, any environment, any living being. It may be animals, it may be plants, anything. Your research should be done very carefully. Openness, there should be transparency, nothing should be hidden in your research work. Then respect for intellectual property. Then confidentiality. Some points that has to be taken care about the confidentiality. Likewise, we visit some organization, we go there, we go to collect the data, we go for telephonic, we go for physical interaction or anything else, we go there, and there are some you can say secrets of that organization. We should keep that confidential thing that the organization asks you to keep confidentiality. That is again your research ethics. Then respect for colleagues. I will talk about this thing in detail. then non-discrimination and social responsibility. While doing our research work, we should be socially responsible. Then coming to the point, next slide. What are the important areas in which research and publication ethics matter? Authorship, plagiarism, peer review, research with animals, research with human subjects, and research misconduct. These are the important areas in research and publication ethics that we will talk about. First is authorship. We all know who is the author. Author is a person who writes a research paper, who writes a book, or who writes a dissertation, a thesis. He is called a author generally in common sense. Then research evolves from collaboration and assistance between experts and colleagues. Authorship is the process of deciding about on who names a research paper belongs, on whose name a research paper belongs. Authorship is reserved for persons who receives primary credit and hold primary responsibility for a published work, and it decides which colleagues should be listed as authors and co-authors. So very clear from these lines that I have told you that author is a person who is the, you can say, first person who writes the research paper, and he is the person who gets the credit of that research paper. He is an author who has really done a research work, who has really done a original work to complete that research thesis, dissertation, or completing that research paper. So author and co-author is a person who works along with that author, helps that author, assists that author to complete that research work. It may be his colleague, his fellow researcher, or it may be his, you can say, research guide, co-supervisor, supervisor, any person. So there are many types of authors. Some are ethical and some are unethical. We will talk about ethical and unethical authors. Guest author. We all clear by this word guest. What is guest? Guest is a person who comes to our home, and um, we give him due respect. We give him good fooding and everything. We give him respect, like we say that guest is a god. So coming to the point, the author hasn't contributed to the research or writing by his or her credential can increase the credibility of the published work. Likewise, you have written a research paper, and who will be guest? A person who enters into your research paper, his name has been written on the research paper under the author name, but he has done nothing. That person is a guest author. Guest authorship happens when influential individuals lend their name to a study to boost its credibility. However, these people weren't involved in actual search. The most common unethical practice is to include the name of the PhD advisor or department head or director or principal as an author. So that person hasn't worked in the research work. He has done nothing, but he is only lending his name to give its credibility, to add to get credibility in the publication. So his name has been added without doing any work. He is a guest author, and guest author is an, you, it is unethical practice, and we should not practice this thing. Only the person who has done real research, who has contributed to the research, only that person will be allowed to write his name on the research paper. It may be research paper, it may be a book, it may be a thesis, it may be conference proceeding or anything else. The person who has done it a real work, only that person should be given the credit. Then gift authorship. We all know what is gift. The author may have an association with the research or the manuscript. In practice, an author is added to a paper when they have not actually made a contribution to the work, perhaps to reward a collaborator, return a favor, or some other gain. The person who you can say that he can help in my life, or he has helped in your life in any other way, but he hasn't contributed in the in your search work. So to give him, you can say, give him respect or gift him something, you put his name in the research paper to give him a, you can say, give him a gift, like you add his name in the research paper, and he is a gift author, but he has not been involved in the research work. He doesn't know what you have done and how do you have done. that person is called a gift author, and it is called gift authorship. Again, gift authorship is an unethical practice, and we should not do it. And who are the persons who are mainly involved in this gift authorship? We want to, you can say, please our HOD, our director, our principal, our dean R&D, or any other person to make him happy, to please him, yeah, or we want to take some work out of it. So we put his name in the research paper, and when he comes to know, he becomes happy. But the fact is that he hasn't done any research work, any effort to complete that research paper or research thesis. So it is unethical practice. It is not a respect. It is an unrespect to yourself. As you have done a research work, you have done an effort, but you have put the name of another person also who will again get credit of your research work. So gift authorship is again a unethical practice. Then coming a very important point that the people are practicing nowadays, it has become very common thing. It is ghost authorship. We all know what is ghost. Ghost is a ghost. We say like, we think like, or we uh, suggest that ghost is a person who whom we cannot see. He is he is not visible. He, that is called ghost. Similarly, ghost author is a person when someone that participated actively in research is not disclosed in the author's byline but acknowledgement sections. This person can be a research unrelated professional that helped the main author to draft and edit the manuscript, but that person's name has not been mentioned anywhere. So he has done the research work, he has done everything, being invisible. He is not visible, his name is not visible. Nowadays what we do, the people write the research paper and they take the money, we pay him and write our name, the name of the actual researcher, actual person who has done that research, his name has not been mentioned anywhere because he has taken the money. We have paid him the cost of that thing, but there is no cost of research. We cannot pay anybody's, you can say, research work. But it is unethical practice, as some people, some researchers, some PhD scholars, MTech scholars, they don't have time, or that they then don't have that talent to write a research paper, and they, you can say, they, in other words, we can say, they buy the research work from the other author who has done the work, and that person sells that work to you, and you write your name and publish it by your own name. You take credit, but that person who has really done that work for money or anything else, he is a ghost author, and it is again an unethical practice, and we should not practice this thing. And if it is found that this practice has been done, it is a punishable activity. We should not practice this thing. Now coming to the point, it is a plagiarism. We all know, all researchers know what is plagiarism. Plagiarism is the act of stealing someone else's work and attempting to pass it off as your own. Plagiarism includes copying text, ideas, images, or data from another source, even from your own publication, without giving credit to the original source. So what is plagiarism? In simple words, we can say it is copy paste. It copying matter from somewhere else and putting it under your name. That is plagiarism. We show it as it is your own work, but it is not your work. You have copied it from other thesis, research paper, any website, any book. It may be anything that has already been published, and even copying the matter from the research paper that has been already published under your name, that is again called plagiarism. It is self plagiarism or auto plagiarism. We will talk about this also. So plagiarism is a crime. It is punishable. And again, likewise, I have talked about the funding, that some proposals have been sent to the funding agencies for funding, because that researcher cannot pay so much money to do the research work, but he has talent to do research work, research. So the funding agencies give funding to that person to continue the research. And if plagiarism is found or detected in their proposal or research project, and that manuscript or that proposal is rejected, and that he is not given the funding, and so Plagiarism, I have already told, it is a crime, it is a punishable. Please respect the intellectual property. We should not copy the research work of any other person. We in the starting we had talked about that to respect the fellow colleagues or fellow researchers. How can we respect? Do not copy the research work of the other fellow researcher or fellow colleague. It is type of a respect you are giving to him. If you are taking help of somebody else published matter, published, you can say research paper or findings or methodology or questionnaire that other person has used, you want to use that, you can take permission from that person, and secondly you can mention his name in the references and the acknowledgements. When you are acknowledging that person, you are mentioning that name, then it doesn't come under plagiarism. So to giving a respect to your fellow colleagues, to the fellow researchers who have really done the work, by mentioning their name, by acknowledging their name, by citing their name, it is a type of a giving respect to that researcher. So coming to the types of plagiarism: complete plagiarism, source-based plagiarism, direct plagiarism, self-plagiarism, auto-plagiarism, paraphrasing plagiarism, inaccurate authorship. Authorship we already talked. Inaccurate authorship, then partial plagiarism, accidental plagiarism. These all are different types of plagiarism that come in the way when we do our research and publication work. So coming to the first type of plagiarism, complete plagiarism. By the name, we all come to know what is complete. Complete means everything, totally, 100%. Complete plagiarism is the most severe form of plagiarism, where a researcher takes a manuscript or study that someone else created and submits it under his or her name. It is equivalent to intellectual theft and stealing. You got my point. That somebody else has written a research paper that has been published or book. You take that soft copy, edit, do the editing under the author's name. You write your own name, your designation, and your affiliation, and you submit it to a journal, to a conference under your name. And if detected, it comes under complete plagiarism, and it is crime. We should not practice this thing. Uh, Complete plagiarism. Then coming to the next point, that is partial plagiarism. That was complete 100%, and partial means some part you have taken from somewhere, some part you have taken from somewhere, and some part you have taken from somewhere else. That is partial, by parts. This is the second form of plagiarism. This is when a person takes work from a multiple amount of authors and just the authors from without doing the actual research. So it is very clear that we take research work, take matter from the other people's published work, not from single author, single research paper, or single thesis. We take it by parts from different publications. That is partial plagiarism. It is again a crime. Then coming to the direct plagiarism. Direct plagiarism is word for word transcription of a section of someone else's work without attribution and without quotation marks. The deliberate plagiarism of someone else's work is unethical, academically dishonest, and grounds for disciplinary action, including expulsion. So, direct plagiarism is then when we write word to word everything that the other author has written without any quotation marks. If we put in quotations, we write the name of the author and we put it in the references, then it does not come under plagiarism. But if we do not mark quotation marks, then it comes under a direct plagiarism. Then comes self plagiarism that we were already talking about. Self plagiarism, we can also call it auto plagiarism. Self plagiarism is defined as a type of plagiarism in which the writer or author republished a work in its entirety or reuses portions of a previously written text while announcing a new work. So I hope you got the point that using your own published work, that is again a crime. It is again a plagiarism. You cannot even use your published work to republish it in any conference, in any journal. You cannot use it. It is self plagiarism. It is again crime, and we should avoid it also. That is self plagiarism. Then coming paraphrasing plagiarism. Paraphrasing is a plagiarism if you don't properly credit the original author. Paraphrasing is plagiarism if your text is too close to the original wording. If you directly copy a sentence or phrase, you should quote it instead. So paraphrasing is again a plagiarism. It is again a crime if your text that is too close to the original wording. If you are going to rephrase it, or you are going to write it in your own words, translate in your own words, then it is good. But your text should not be too close to the original wordings. It can give the same meaning, but the wording should not be same. If it is too close to that original wording, then it comes under paraphrasing, plagiarism. And if you directly copy a sentence, you should quote it. If you quote it, then it does not come under plagiarism. I have already talked about that. Quotations, then inaccurate plagiarism, inaccurate authorship or misleading attribution can happen in two ways. I have already talked about gift author, guest author, ghost author. All these are, you can say, inaccurate authorship, that when other person who hasn't worked that work, done hasn't participated in that research work, and the work has been published under his name, then it comes under inaccurate plagiarism, or we can say it inaccurate authorship. When an individual contributes to a manuscript but doesn't get credit of it, it is ghost author. And the second form is opposite, when an individual gets credit without contributing to its work. So this is inaccurate plagiarism. Then again, uh, accidental plagiarism. We all are human beings, and when we are caught, we find that we have done unethical practice, and we give excuse that it was accidental, I didn't know how it was done, I was not aware about of this thing. So even that accidental plagiarism is again a crime. You have to take care of it while doing your search work, PhD dissertation or search paper writing. You should take care of it. It is also called unintentional plagiarism, that I was not aware about this thing, due to that it has been done by mistake from me, but not. It occurs when a writer fails to follow scholarly procedures and accidentally copies part of work that has already been composed. I hope you got my point. That if it is even happened accidentally, even then it is a crime and it comes under plagiarism, and you may have to pay for it. Then comes source-based plagiarism. We all know what is the source. This type of plagiarism refers to instances while misleading sources are involved. For example, the author may have two sources of information, but only references one. Another form of source-based plagiarism would be when an author quotes a non-existent or incorrect source. Source means that when we complete our search paper, or when we complete our search thesis dissertation, in the last we have to write the references, that which research paper, which books, which thesis, or which you can say website you have visited to get the references in the literature review or anything else. So that all are the sources from which we get the information for our research paper. So what the meaning comes source based, that in somewhere in some situations it comes that author has mentioned, he has taken help from two or three sources, but he mentions only one, and two three sources that are remaining he hasn't mentioned. That is again source based plagiarism. And another situation comes that when an authors take help, or you can see copies the matter from one source, but he doesn't you can say mention that source in the references, but he mentions any other source that is not existence, that is not available. Likewise, you are writing a paper on, you can say, green banking. We are talking about green banking. So we mention in the references like green banking by this author, by Mr. Hardeep Singh, but that Hardeep Singh is not of that area. He hasn't worked on green banking, but he hasn't published any research paper on green banking, but you are mentioning in the references that I have taken the help of the research paper of Hardeep Singh, but you have taken help of another third person's research work. So that is again a source based plagiarism. This means that you have to mention the references, the name of the research papers, the name of the authors in the references of the correct person, correct source from which you have taken the help. This is very, you can say, very common thing that we being an human being, we practice this thing. We think that we are smart people, we are smart and other people is dull. We will not know, but the reviewers and the even you have come to know that there are many applications or many other technologies that can check your plagiarism from which you have taken the data. Then comes data fabrication. Fabrication means saying that data exists when it does not, or creating data out of nothing. Creating imaginary respondents in a survey is fabrication. That you are making, you are filling your search survey questionnaire on your own by making imaginary respondents. There are no respondents like that, but you are doing it your own self. That is fabrication. um, in scientific and academic research, data fabrication is the intentional misrepresentation of results, and this also includes image manipulation. Image manipulation means you're doing some alterations in the image and showing it as your own image in the research work. That is again image manipulation. Image manipulation involves the transformation or alteration of a photograph using various methods and techniques to achieve desired results. Some photograph manipulations are considered to be skillful work, while others are considered to be unethical practices, especially when used to deceive the public. There are some photographs available on the net, Google, and anywhere that you can use anywhere for any purpose, for any research work. But there are some photographs or some image that have been taken copyright, that is intellectual property. You cannot use that thing. But if you do alteration in those images which have copyright, and it becomes unethical practice. So image manipulation should again not be done. It is unethical. Irregular manipulation includes introduction, enhancement, moving or removing features from the original image, grouping of images that should obviously be presented separately, and modifying the contrast, brightness, or color balance to obscure, eliminate, or enhance some information. That is manipulation. And while doing the research work, research publication, writing a research paper, writing a book or a dissertation or thesis, that is unethical, and we should take care of this thing. Then comes data falsification. Falsification is altering existing data to make it say something else. That data is already there, we are just altering some readings, something out of that, and to make later that your result becomes different. Changing answers from real respondents in a survey is falsification. Falsification is manipulating research material, equipment, or processes, or changing or omitting data or results such that the research is not accurately represented in the research record. So, altering the data from the existing data to change its results or make it something different, that is data falsification. And data falsification is again an unethical practice that we should not practice while doing our research work. So now the question comes: how can we avoid plagiarism? What are the remedies to avoid plagiarism? So the first remedy, and very simple remedy, that is simply be honest, give credit where it is due, acknowledge the author of original work you have used. So being honest, doing the work honestly, research work honestly, references the sources honestly, that is the best way to avoid the plagiarism. Use your own work as often as possible, but using someone else's work excessively may constructed as plagiarism. So use your own work, make your own ideas, write your own wordings, and it may help you to avoid plagiarism, and it will give your original work, original research work, and there will be no plagiarism. It is the best way to avoid plagiarism, and quote or cite the sources properly. The sources that you have used, you share the wording that you have taken word to word, or some definition or anything. You can write it in quotation marks, and the research papers you have referred in literature review or anything else, you can mention it in the reference part, bibliography part, bibliography part. There are you can say there are many types of styles of mentioning the references. The main styles that we use are that MLA style and APA style, and you can use the styles as mentioned by the in the conference by the conference organizers, or in your PhD dissertation as mentioned by the concerned university or department, and similarly by the journals. So that style can be, you can say, used according to the requirements of that conference or that organization, university. No, one thing more very important in your research area, that is plagiarism. It is the time of information technology. We are going through the century of information technology, and everything is possible. And now that information technology has become super smart, we are smart people, but that information technology is super smart. It can detect anything. So that plagiarism, that you have taken matter from others research work, or you have copy pasted, it is direct plagiarism, partial plagiarism, or you can say it is complete plagiarism. It can be detected by using the various you can say sources or applications. I have shown it is a one research report that how that application shows that from where the material has been taken. This is a report like this, shows 23% similarity index, 2% you have taken from internet sources, 2% from publication of other people, and 22% from students' papers. So detail has been given again there that 21% is you have taken from a student paper that was submitted to University of Worcester, then submitted to University of Newcastle, and then the sites have been submitted to Watman Forest College, 1%. That information technology and that application can tell you everything word to word from where you have taken. So this is here is 11% similarity index, and he has shown here that from where, from which site or which source you have copied the matter, that is shown here. So when you go for publication, the journals or the conferences, they have given some you can say leniency up to 15%, 10%, 15%, or a very rare 20% that they give, that you can use so much of plagiarism that is not counted. This is the report. If it is 100% similarity expected, it is complete plagiarism, that he has taken all the matter from the student's paper who has submitted to the Montfort University. So it is 100% plagiarism. So you should take care that anything you take from any source, it can be detected. You should be very careful. These are some plagiarism checker tools you can use for checking your plagiarism. There are some tools that are available online to check free, but we should not rely on those sources that are available online free, that may not be so much reliable. So Turnitin is the best tool that has been used by many universities and many publication houses, many journals, to check the similarity of the research papers or the research work that have been submitted by the research scholars or the researchers. They use that tool, that is authentic tool, and it is used to check the plagiarism. Then coming, we say that how can we improve reading, improve your writing. You should improve your reading. You should make a habit of reading different books, journals, newspapers, anything. When you read English, you get vocabulary, good sentences, good words, to make your manuscript a good manuscript. Read as often as possible, discuss with your colleagues and friends. It assists your journal selection. Reading provides ideas for your next manuscript. So reading is a very good habit, very good thing that will help you to improve your English writing and everything. Then comes publication ethics. What are the don'ts? Multiple submissions. You cannot submit one research paper to two conferences or three conferences, or one research paper to two or three journals. You can submit your one research paper to one journal, and you have to wait for its review report. And if it is not accepted, then you can submit it to another journal. Or even if you, then firstly you have to withdraw from the journal or conference that you have submitted if you want to submit it anywhere else. And when you withdraw that paper, a mail comes from there that we have accepted your withdrawal request, and you can submit it anywhere. Then you can submit it anywhere else. Otherwise, multiple submissions, it is again unethical practice. Plagiarism we have discussed in detail. Then improper author contribution that we have already discussed. Ghost author, guest author, gift author. These all are unethical practices. Then data fabrication and falsification. We have talked about what is falsification, what is fabrication. It is again against publication ethics and conflicts of interest. All these are against the publication ethics. Then coming to the point, ethical guidelines in such publication. Educate yourself, you dear research scholars, academicians. You should educate yourself about the all these ethical practices. You should know about plagiarism, what comes under plagiarism, what are the types of plagiarism, how can we remove it, what are the tools that we can use for checking the plagiarism. Everything you should know. You should educate yourself while doing your search work. Make a thorough search. You should do a thorough search, learn rules for citation and references. You should know what can be cited, how we can cite this, how can we reference it, where should we do the references, what should we write in the bibliography. Everything you should know the rules. Then paraphrase means your the thing, that the wording that you are paraphrasing, that should not be too close to the original work. Then it comes under paraphrase plagiarism. But paraphrase is different thing, and paraphrasing plagiarism is different thing. You should be aware about this thing and check your work. You should check your work, the work you have done. You should check it, recheck it, that there may not be any grammatical mistake or any other errors in your search work. It may be for publication in search journal, or in research in public, in conference proceedings, or anywhere else. Then cite your source. You have to cite your source from where you have taken help. It may be a research paper from any research journal. It may be an article from magazine, from any newspaper, or you may have taken help to get the theoretical work from some book. You have to cite that thing also. And you might have taken help from any online source. It may be website or anything else. You have to cite everything. Then include quotations. I have already told you, if you have taken any definition or wording from any other author, from some research work, word to word you have taken, you have put it in the quotation marks, and you have to write it in the references. Also write the name of the author who has mentioned that thing. Then present your own idea, create your own magic. This is the best way to avoid plagiarism and do your search ethically. You have to present your own ideas, develop the habit of reading, and to improve your writing. And then you will have good writing skills. And then you do not need to copy anything. Use plagiarism checker. There are a lot of plagiarism checkers, and you can use it before you can say submitting it to the journal or conference. Understand the value of citations. Again, citations. uh, then double check your work. Work should be checked. You write your research paper, write your thesis, you check it yourself. And we are human beings. When we check the work done by ourselves, we say we have devoted so much time, it is very good, I have done very good work, there are no errors, there is no grammatical error or English error or anything. But when somebody else checks our work, and some people, they have the habit to find the faults or find the mistakes out of the other person's work. So you should get it checked from your friend, your colleague, your mentor, your advisor, or any person else whom you realize or who is good at English. You should double check your work, so that there may not be any grammatical mistake or any other error in your search work, research thesis, or search paper. Put all direct quotes in quotation marks. When in doubt, give a citation. These all are ethical guidelines that we should take care while doing our research work and submitting our research papers for publication. These are ethical guidelines. So, coming to the conclusion of my talk, there are various forms of unethical practices that we have talked today, that authors resort to, sometimes intentionally and occasionally, and sometimes by accident. Being aware of publication ethics and list herein will help readers, authors to consciously avoid such misconduct and perform honest, ethical research and pursue publications. So, lastly, speaking in few words, dear academicians, research scholars, these research ethics and publication ethics, this is very important thing when you are writing your research paper, submitting your research paper to a conference or journal, or you are writing your PhD thesis or dissertation, or your MTech research thesis or dissertation. This is very important, and you should take care of these things. So, by saying these words, my talk is over. Any queries, any questions, you are open to. So, ma'am, my talk is over. Ma'am, my talk is over. Any questions, any queries? Anybody has any question, he or she can ask.
Dear participant, any queries? Dear participant, any queries? Okay. Your speech has really extended. Believe to heard amazing speech, sir. Especially how to make research paper and publication ethic and the different types of plagiarism related you are discussed, sir. We are understanding, sir. Thank you, sir. Now I kindly request K. Saranya, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, Adiman Arts and Science College for Women to deliver the vote of thanks. Thank you, sir.
I feel extremely privileged to be able to present here on this occasion and be asked to deliver a vote of thanks on behalf of our colleges as today's FTP Research and Publication Ethics. We are immensely grateful to the management for granting us permission to organize the enlightening FTP. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed guest speaker, Dr. Hardeep Singh. Your insightful words and skill have lost a lasting impact on all of us. Thank you for sharing your valuable knowledge and inspiring us with your passion. Your presence is truly our event, and we thank our participants for joining an FTP program. We appreciate your active participation and enthusiasm throughout the sections. Your presence made a truly engaging and insightful event. Thank you, one and all. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
So thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. So nice of you.
Thank you so much, sir.